Welcome back to Breslov campus. Some insights in the parsha of the week, Parshat Beshalach. There's so many exciting things in this parsha. Obviously, the splitting of the Red Sea, the Exodus. But there's one point that people should pay attention to. You notice that after such unbelievable miracles, the splitting of the Red Sea, the leaving of Egypt, the 10 plagues, after all this, the Torah goes right into the Jews complaining to Moshe, there's no water, there's no meat, what are we going to do? And then Hashem sends the manna, but then also they asked for the quail, and they got punished for asking the quail also, right? And that was after such miracles. Rav Nosson, he asks, how could it be, you Jews, you Jewish people, after seeing such unbelievable miracles, eye to eye, Ra'a shivcha bayam, mashe lo ra'a afilu Yecheskel ben Buzi, a maidservant at the splitting of the Red Sea, saw such a revelation of Hashem that not even the prophet Yecheskel, when he saw the vision of the divine chariot, which is considered the tops, the spitz, it surpassed even that. What a maidservant saw surpassed what Yecheskel the prophet saw at the divine chariot vision. What's going on here? And after all this, they crash. They act so low. Eventually also the sin of the golden calf. After such big things, such a crash. How could it be? And Rav Nosson says this is how it is in life. That you can have a person who has the biggest revelations in Judaism, and specifically because they've had such revelations, they are being tested more than anybody else. And to remember that if now I have been given the opportunity and the gift to have such a high revelation of Judaism, that combating this, I'm going to have major temptations and tests from the Yetzer Hara, from the evil side. So it comes with the responsibility to use this light on a positive way and not to break because of it. That because of the high level of revelation, not to fall because of it. Rav Nosson, I've said this maybe a few times, he's told over the story of one of the students of the Baal Shem Tov. His name was the Rav of Bafalye, as opposed to Buffalo, not Buffalo in New York, but Bafalya, some village in the Ukraine. And this rabbi, he was someone who was sitting all day long in talit and tefillin, learning all day. And once this big rabbi, on Yom Kippur, he had what's called a bulmus. A bulmus in halacha is that when a person begins to lose their vision due to a lack of nourishment, and the halacha says that when this happens, if a person begins to see dizziness and to see very unclear, he has to eat immediately, even if it's on Yom Kippur, because the person now is in a dangerous situation where he can lose his sight for good. He can become permanently blind. So the halacha is he has to eat. If a person has a bulmus, they have to eat. Of course, there's halachic requirements how much to give to him until his eyesight restores. You have to keep on giving him small measurements until his eyesight restores to a certain level, then he has to stop eating. And this Rav couldn't imagine himself eating on Yom Kippur, and he started going frantic. You know, he's losing his sight, which is the sign of the bulmus. He's getting dizzy and lack of clarity. So he didn't know what to do. He's going to eat on Yom Kippur. Such a holy rabbi who's holding at such a high level, he's going to fall and eat on Yom Kippur. So what he did is he went to a side room and he was looking for something to eat. And there's no food available. And he finds pieces of matzah that were left for the eruv. There's a mitzvah to do an eruv, where there's a place where people can't carry on the Shabbos day. So they join houses together with what's called an eruv. And that eruv enables people to be able to carry from house to house, from house to the garden, etc. So normally they use an item that lasts a long time, like matzah. Matzah doesn't go bad for such a long time. It can last for several months, even up to a year, even the matzah can last. So he found the matzah of the eruv, feeling he had no choice, he started eating the matzah. While he was eating the matzah, the attendant of the shul, the gabbai of the shul, opened the door at that moment while this Rav was eating the matzah. And the gabbai immediately told the rest of the congregation, the Rav of Bafalya is eating, he stole the eruv and he's eating on Yom Kippur. The embarrassment he had was so great that he fell off totally. And the story goes that he became ishtamed. He fell off Judaism totally. And Rav Nosson would say this story And you would say that if he had the encouragement that we got from Rabbi Nachman, he wouldn't have fallen. The point is that if a person, again, what we said, a person can have the revelation of the splitting of the Red Sea. He can have the revelation of Moses at Har Sinai. A person can have tremendous light, which is common, which is known, that many people who come to Judaism, they have tremendous light. But it comes with responsibility. If you have been chosen to have such an experience and light in your approach to Judaism, and you're coming close to Judaism, it's because there's a higher demand of you, and you are on the kaveret, you're on the watch. In other words, you have to be very careful, because the evil side is going to use this against you. That if you have such a high, you're sitting on such a high wall, the fall is even greater, God forbid. Meaning you have to be able to hold yourself up and strong, and not to fall no matter what happens, not to drop everything. Even if you crash and things happen, to still be able to get up and start again. This is the test. And that the Jews had such a big revelation at the splitting of the Red Sea and everything else, and still they crashed and had doubts on Hashem and doubts on Moshe Rabbeinu, shows how real this test is. And for a person to be very, very careful in every step he takes forward in his Judaism, and not to be fooled by the light experience, but rather use it to strengthen yourself for the regular moments, for the difficult moments in life, and not that it should go against it to push a person away. It's very unfortunate. We've seen so many people who've come to Breslov, who come to do tshuva, only to see them fall off the path after a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Why? Because we're more interested in the light and the high, which they may have been used to in a secular environment, especially people who've tried drugs, for example, where they're into what's called the high. So to find it also in Judaism, and then to see that it just goes away and that that's not the real reality, so many people, God forbid, get turned off. The main thing is to use this light. When you have your own personal splitting of the Red Sea and your personal miracles, to use it, not for an ulterior motive, but to use it to serve Hashem when you're grounded, when you're back on the feet. Because Hashem doesn't need angels to serve Him. People who are flying and having a high experience. Hashem needs human beings in a physical body, with physical temptations and physical situations and life strokes, as they call it, from there to serve Hashem. This is what Hashem is really looking for.